Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing Nuke.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. It's me again. Oh, yes, it's me again. Let's dig right into it. Anthony Joshua defends his belt and knocks out Alexander Povetkin in the 7th fucking round. What a phenomenal display it was at Wembley Stadium in front of 80,000 plus fans. He did a phenomenal job. It looks like here the first maybe 4 rounds, Anthony Joshua had trouble dealing with the smaller guy. Alexander Povetkin is about 6'2". Anthony Joshua was about 6'6". That was a great fight. Basically, Povetkin was getting in and out, stepping in and out of the pocket, countering. Anthony Joshua didn't use his jab as much this fight, for the simple fact that if he used his jab, it's easy for Povetkin to come and counter with angles to knock out his opponents, and that's what Anthony Joshua was hesitating to use. If you've noticed in this fight, Anthony Joshua was going more to the body instead of upstairs, so he gave up early rounds to set up and open up the knockout. Clearly his game plan from the start was to hit the body, focus on the body, not utilize the jab too much, because it's for the potential for a guy like Alexander Povetkin, it's easy for him to counter anybody that jabs. So it makes sense not to jab as much as he normally would. Now he basically makes you rethink your jab by using your jab against you. That's what Alexander Povetkin does. I'm basically hearing a lot of fanboys on social media basically coming out stating, Anthony Joshua looked terrible in this fight. They don't understand. I don't understand how you fucking look terrible in the fight when you basically wore out your opponent, came on in about the 4th, 5th round, and then completely stopped him in the 7th. That's not terrible. That's a unified fucking champion. And he's the best champion in the division. He's the best fighter in the division. Hands down. He's 22-0 with 21 knockouts. Think about it. This fucking guy had 22 fucking fights. At 22 fucking fights, he's a unified fucking champion. 22 fights. Deontay Wilder, I believe, didn't even get his belt until he was at least 33 fights in. What the fuck are these fanboys talking about? This is not the same level of competition. Anthony Joshua was fighting a guy who's his number 1 mandatory, who's ranked number anywhere from 1 to 3 in pretty much every sanctioning body. And people are acting like Alexander Povetkin is not a great fighter. They're acting like, oh, he's not this, he's not that. And then I'm hearing a lot of comparisons about Luis Ortiz and Alexander Povetkin for his age. And let me clear that up real quick. Alexander Povetkin is about 39 years old. I believe Luis Ortiz was 38 when they fought. But you have to understand that Alexander Povetkin has proven to be levels above Luis Ortiz based on resume. Alexander Povetkin has went out there and fought really good competition. He's fought a Vladimir Klitschko and lost. He was never knocked out in his career. Luis Ortiz was just knocked out by Deontay Wilder, a guy who has extreme fundamental boxing abilities. Yes, Luis Ortiz could have easily won that fight in the 7th round. It looks like he had Wilder out on his feet, but unfortunately he didn't. He was stopped in that round. So how fanboys and people can come to the defense and say Luis Ortiz could do it, it makes no sense to me. Obviously, this is what people don't understand about boxing, and these are casual boxing fans is what I like to call them. You can't take anything from this win that you'll say, this is what will happen if he fights Wilder, because you're a complete idiot if you believe that. You have to understand that Povetkin is a much shorter opponent. So Deontay Wilder stands about 6'6", 6'7". Anthony Joshua stands about 6'6". He does better against tall opponents, guys that are over 6'5". It's easier for him. Instead of punching down or having to adjust his style, he can fight in a more natural position and natural pose, especially against a guy like Deontay Wilder. This is something that casuals don't understand. Styles make fights. If Anthony Joshua beefed up and just added a lot of weight and muscle for the Carlos Takam fight, which was originally scheduled to be the Kubrat Pulev fight, Why would he beef up for a Deontay Wilder fight? That would make no sense. Wouldn't you want to be leaner, meaner, quicker, and more agile against Deontay Wilder? And then I'm not hearing enough people giving Anthony Joshua a lot of credit for the win, basically saying he looked garbage. His defense was impeccable. Against a guy that's much smaller and extremely fast, his defense was on point. Yes, he got hit with a couple shots early, but he bounced back for them. He was never hurt. You got to understand that this was a really good fight against a top-level opponent. And you're not going to look great every point in the entire fight. He stopped him early, but he did look good. He did show great abilities, and I thought he won round 4 through 7 up until he stopped him. The first 3 rounds I'll give to Povetkin, and I think Anthony Joshua was basically waiting to tire him out. He did say this before the fight as well, that he was waiting on Alexander Povetkin to tire out because you're not able to take the same punches in the 7th round that you can take in the 1st round. And so that's a very sticking key point for a lot of people. There's a lot of casual boxing fans that want to champion Luis Ortiz, a guy who was already knocked out, a guy who's never fought elite competition, a guy who's never been world champion. Why is Luis Ortiz on your breath? It makes zero sense. A lot of people are giving Deontay Wilder too much credit for fighting Luis Ortiz, and this is what I mean by that. They'll look at the Wilder-Luis Ortiz fight and give him too much credit. Luis Ortiz was on blood pressure medications and almost wasn't able to make that fight, and it was almost not able to be sanctioned. They allowed him to fight. Get the fuck out of here. Let's just be completely honest. Let's not be fanboys or champions of any fighter. Let's approach this unbiasedly. Anthony Joshua has better boxing ability than Deontay Wilder. He has a better resume and record than anyone in the heavyweight division. He's proven he's a world champion. He's fought other undefeated world champions, such as a Joseph Parker. He's stepped up to the plate many times. He's fought a Hall of Famer in Vladimir Klitschko. He's fought Alexander Povetkin, one of the top-rated fighters, and who's never been knocked out until tonight. Now, let's just take a look at this. You got to look at Anthony Joshua and realize a true special fighter when you see one. Don't fanboy for other fighters. You can believe your fighter's the best guy. You can believe all that. But let's break down styles of Wilder versus Povetkin. Povetkin's a short fighter. He likes to go in and out of the pocket. He stays more on his front foot than his back foot. And Deontay Wilder is very tall and awkward. And so obviously Anthony Joshua is not going to approach fighting Deontay Wilder the same way he would fight Alexander Povetkin. I'm hearing too many people try to take away all these points from Anthony Joshua victory, which he did very well defensively, which he made the adjustments he needed to make from round 1 through 3, from 4 through 7 to get the stoppage, and his defense was impeccable. Of course, he got hit with some shots. This is boxing, but he was never seriously hurt. I just don't understand the fanboyism for people about these things. Now, and then also, let's just address the elephant in the room. Basically, everyone wants to see Wilder versus Joshua. That would be a great matchup. I think both guys have their own abilities. Wilder has only one thing that he can do, and that's hit you with that right hand. That's absolutely it. He's starting to grow a little bit of a jab, which is good. But let's be completely honest, his boxing ability is subpar to garbage. And if we're honest with ourselves, his fight against Tyson Fury, where everyone thinks that he's going to beat Tyson Fury, he might just not get past Tyson Fury. As you understand that Tyson Fury has a way of movement and awkwardness, and he can go 12 rounds with pretty much anyone in the business. If Deontay Wilder has been 12 rounds before with the Bermain Stavern, what the fuck makes you think that a Tyson Fury can't go 12 rounds? Let's just be honest with ourselves. Let's not take away from a great win on a great night from a great champion, a guy who's proven, a guy in 22 fucking fights, have fought undefeated world champions, Hall of Famers, who's had no problem making different fights with other teams such as Joseph Parker, Vladimir Klitschko, Dominic Breazeale, Charles Martin, Alexander Povetkin. He's had no problem making these fights with their management teams, but when it comes to Deontay Wilder, there's this huge scandal, and it normally goes back to the saying, the guy who talks the loudest is often a liar. And Deontay Wilder keeps talking about ducking when it's fucking clear that you have a contract and an opportunity in front of you, and you chose not to sign it. You say it's not about money, but yet the fuck you come back And it's all about money. So at this point is, beat AJ, you become the A side, and then everything goes your way. The second fight, the rematch. I think Wilder wants to get as much as he can in the first fight, just in case he doesn't live to see the second fight, if you know what I mean. And that's what you have to understand here, is that Anthony Joshua is a proven talent at 22 fights. He's getting better, and styles make fights. So clearly, I'm not saying AJ would beat Wilder. I'm not saying Wilder would beat AJ. But don't come to me with fanboy shit saying, oh, this shows me this and this and this. Only a casual will say that. Styles make fights, and Wilder and Anthony Joshua have two completely different styles. Anthony Joshua has great defense. He's a great boxer. He can use lateral movement. He can fight tall or short guys. And he has elite punching power. Deontay Wilder has a big elite right hand, probably the strongest right hand in the business, but that means absolutely nothing when you've seen a Deontay Wilder pretty much stung and rocked in almost every fight that he's had. Deontay Wilder was stung and rocked in the Luis Ortiz fight. Deontay Wilder was stung and rocked in the Chris Arreola fight. Deontay was stung and rocked in the Eric Molina fight. Let's be honest with ourselves on who Deontay Wilder is. He's 40-0. He has 39 knockouts. He's a very entertaining fighter. And if you like him, that's great. But do not be a fanboy and not give credit where credit is due. Once again, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.